Hey, it's time to do Jonah. That's right. We're going to start out this weekend with a Swedish fish spit. Try to say that 5 times fast. You're going to do that this weekend. Have the kids say it 5 times fast, and we want to show you what that might turn out looking like.
All right.
Swedish fish spit, 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 Swedish fish spit,
Swedish fish spit, Swedish fish spit, Swedish fish spit, Swedish fish spit, Swedish fish spit.
Swedish fish spit, Swedish fish spit, Swedish fish spit.
Swedish fish spit, Swedish fish spit, Swedish fish spit, Swedish fish spit,
Swedish fish spit, Swedish fish spit, Swedish fish spit,
Swedish fish spit, Swedish fish spit. Swedish fish spit. Yes.
Swedish fish spit, Swedish fish spit, Swedish fish spit.
Swedish fish spit, Swedish fish spit. More?
Then, after you get all the kids saying Swedish fish spit, have them send up one kid from each pod to do a Swedish fish spit. So you're going to have a contest to see what pod can have a kid shoot a Swedish fish out of their mouth the farthest distance, and that'll be your winner. That winner should get the rest of the bag of the Swedish fish. We'll have enough bags for each service. Should be in the room. After you do Swedish fish spit and you've got kids saying Swedish fish spit all over the room at the whole same exact time, we are gonna go into recapping all of the Old Testament with those symbols. Remember those symbols? You're gonna have those come up on the screen one at a time and have people in the room shout out what it is and sort of help them. So if they just shout out Isaac, you can be like, that's right, that was the story of Abraham and Isaac. So, tease it out if they only shout out one word. It's really important that you do that recap because there's a game next week based on that recap, so you have got to get it in their heads, that recap again. It's to their benefit. You're going to recap, then the announcements are going to happen. The announcements are that next week we're finishing the Old Testament and then we're done with CSM for the year. So make sure that in their pods they plan to go to Awaited together and that they know in 2 weeks that CSM won't be open. Awaited will be happening and they need tickets for Awaited. So they just can't show up the weekend of the 18th and 19th and think that they're going to go to the Awaited thing. They've got to have tickets. So plan to go with your pod, plan to go with your family, whichever. And the last announcement is that January 28th and 29th, we're going to do a baptism, which, trust me, that makes sense because if we're finishing the Old Testament, that means in January we're going to start talking about Jesus. When we start talking about Jesus, we're going to do a baptism January 28th and 29th. Make that announcement because we want kids to start kind of wrestling with whether that's something they want to do or not and to start getting packets to fill out to have back by then. All right, and then somebody from each service needs to tell the story of Jonah. Go read the book of Jonah. It's like 5 chapters long. So whoever is going to tell the story can read that and retell it in their own words. We did that at the leader retreat. So somebody who was at the leader retreat and saw it told on Sunday morning might be a good person to choose to tell it. And then we're going to have a slide up that'll help them have really good conversation in their pod. The 2 main questions that they're going to answer in their pod time is, hey, if you look at the story of Jonah, there are lots of different pieces to it. Decide where you are in your faith walk that lines up with Jonah. And we'll have a slide available for you for that. And some of those are that he speaks to Jonah, that Jonah chooses not to listen, that he runs away, that he admits his rebellion and jumps into the water, but Jesus, I said it. The whale saves him. So there's different pieces like that. Have those up on the screen so that during their pod time they can glance at it and be like, oh yeah, I'm that one. It kind of sets up a good pod conversation because it easily gives them choices they can choose to share out loud. And then the second question is, why is Jonah considered a book of prophecy instead of just a good story? And I may have given you a hint when I called the whale Jesus. He was in the belly of the whale for 3 days, and then he comes up out of the belly of the whale. So that's just a little, planter for you to help the conversation keep going, or something you could point out to your leaders at the leader meeting, because not every leader may have thought of it as a book of prophecy. But don't answer that question for the kids. Ask it and have them figure out that, oh my gosh, it's a little bit talking about Jesus. And that's it. That's the whole weekend. Have fun with Jonah and Swedish fish spit.